Hello and welcome to Share the Mic. This is our second episode, and this is a time of conversation between Black and white friends where we get to ask each other three questions that we hope will help our communities better understand perspectives and really ultimately eliminate racism. So today I want to welcome Ivory Sirmans, who is my friend and an assistant volleyball coach at Hoover High School. She teaches history. She's a mentor to teens and a wife and mother of two daughters. And then lastly, Ivory is also 8 months pregnant with her third daughter coming very soon. So, man, this is a busy woman. Ivory, first off, congratulations to you and Russell. So happy to see you today and your family expanding again. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Well, I'm going to let you go first and give us a little background about Ivory and Libby, because we just think that helps. So you're up.
Yeah. So I met Libby through Church of the Highlands, finishing the growth track and trying to find opportunities to serve and get connected. Really didn't find anything initially and was kind of bummed that I was going to leave without finding something. And I can't even remember how we ended up getting connected in the room or whatever else, but finding out about Christ Fit. I think you had a flyer. I don't even know if it was in like the actual, curriculum or whatever. And then I was like, this is great. I'm showing up. I think this is going to be so much fun. And I just loved it. Libby is great. She was great to serve with. And also just, I learned a lot and I grew a lot spiritually and as a leader through Christ Fit for sure.
Well, Ivory and I both share a past of serving teens via small groups, and her sister, Brittany, and not her sister, I'm going to say her cousin sister,
yes.
Her cousin sister, founded Empower to Conquer, which is related. And, it's been a few years since we've really been able to spend time together because life moved on. But I remember so many great things about Ivory when she was coaching with us, like, 55 kids at Woodlawn High School, boys and girls, teens, and she could just keep those kids in line, and then she would coach them, and then we'd be doing the sharing the word, and she had all these great different ways to do this. It was kind of chaos, but at the same time it was wonderful. And I've always loved Ivory's enthusiasm and how she could keep kids in line. So with Empowered to Conquer, I'd love for you to just talk a little bit about that and what that is, and how you guys are making an impact.
Yes, well, our founder of Empowered to Conquer is my first cousin, Brittany Hogan, which is, everybody thinks we're sisters. We call each other sister cousins because we're so close. And it's just a vision of hers. Started with a youth conference, and now we have 3 areas that we serve in. One is Limitless Retreat, which is a way to help build a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, helping our students do that. We have Limitless Mentoring, which we have started. We started at Bessemer City High School with girls and guys, just kind of pairing up a student with a young adult or an adult to just help them walk through life. And then the portion that I work closely with is Limitless Groups, which is an educational portion where we actually walk students through how to be successful in high school and post-high school. We throw a lot of things at our students about being successful and loving God and, making the right choices, but we want to walk with them through those moments to assist. And so, knowing Jesus, building relationships and fostering education, those are our goals. And so empower2c.org, if you want to check us out. You can also find me and ask me questions. And also if you just type in, Empower to Conquer in Facebook, you can find us.
Awesome. So I get to ask you the first question today, Ivory, and so it's a good one. What is the single thing you believe white people can do now that will help eliminate racism?
I would say I'm old school Baptist, and we used to have this saying called count the cost. And I would say that would be your first step. That would be the biggest thing to help be anti-racist, to eliminate systemic racism in our society, is to understand what it's going to take for you personally to be able to do that. That means education, that means discomfort, that means isolation in some areas, being bold, having to speak out, not being always popular with your friends because you are the one that's bringing up how you need to be anti-racist. Also being called out when you don't make it, when you don't do the right thing, or when you say something the wrong way. If you feel like you're doing this for the Black community instead of how this is going to benefit everyone in our society, then your motives are going to be wrong and you're going to wear out. So making sure like you understand what it costs to be anti-racist is really the first step, because that's what's going to give you the opportunities to start a small group or start a Bible study or to put a sign in your yard or whatever else. Like that's what's going to help you to make those small steps.
Oh, great. Great answer. All right.
Okay, my question to Libby, and it's kind of in theme with what you asked me. I've had a lot of friends say, hey, what do I do? Like, I feel so bad. Like, how do I start this? So Libby, what proactive steps have you taken or are taking in spreading anti-racism and equity?
So I did a few small things first, especially with the explosion of all the media around George Floyd and Black Lives Matter of recent. And that was to put a giant canvas sign in our yard. I love this sign. In fact, I'm gonna try and share it here. Let's see if I get this done. Nope, it just isn't gonna work. Not working today, but it's a beautiful sign that my daughter painted. It generated a lot of discussion, especially from visitors to our home. Just from that sign, our family is having more meaningful conversations and connecting with Black people, visitors, and they know that we're showing support for them. We have since had signs pop up all over our neighborhood. We even had a note in our mailbox from a neighbor that said, "Your sign is beautiful, courageous, inspirational, thank you, and God bless you." I was like, wow. So even when you think you are doing something small, so small, it can have a big impact and generate discussion and greater awareness. So that was one. I also attended my first protest ever in my very white neighborhood village, holding that sign up. And I was so encouraged to witness 800 other of my neighbors, mostly white, at the rally. And so I had 15 more signs made up that I took with me, and I gave them to anyone that wanted one, with only one requirement, and that was that they put them in their yard, which every single person said absolutely. So that's just spreading the word in an impactful way. And then I'm attending my second rally at Kelly Ingram Park today, the White Birminghamians, I guess you say it that way, for Black Lives. And I'm actually walking with my 86-year-old mother, so I'm really excited about that. I think it's also important to point out from a business perspective, I co-lead a commercial real estate company, and we're now really focused on having more meaningful conversations and taking action about steps, to create greater diversity within our company. But we decided after our kind of first big meeting last week that during COVID, one of the things that we can do is take an outdoor civil rights tour. So we can social distance and do all of that, and we can visit 16th Street Baptist Church, Kelly Ingram Park, and other important landmarks, including the murals that have been painted downtown. And we think that's in support of Black Lives Matter. It is educational. Everyone should visit the civil rights or do that tour. You can't go into the museum today, but educating our people has become a priority, and it's already generating conversations internally within our office. So, my hope is that we'll take a future trip to the Equal Justice Initiative because I think that is so meaningful and impactful. So those are a couple of things. My family, we're a small family, but my mother is a huge supporter of education, and as am I and the rest of my family. So we're really looking at education for people of color as the most impactful way to bring equity to the racial divide. So we have worked with ChristFit. We've created a fund, if you will, for Black kids for education, and we've witnessed 2 high school graduations from private school that have helped, have funding through that. And then now this year we have 2 kids, actually from Cornerstone, that are going on to college. They're 2020 graduates to UAB and Sanford using scholarship money we've provided. So education is a biggie. And then, I know I can do more, so I'm starting to dig into a list of recommended books. I'm a big fiction reader, so I've read a lot of Toni Morrison and other, great fiction. But I think it's important that I go to the nonfiction and historical, and so that I can share those facts. And that's something I'm committed to do, more intelligently, I think. And then lastly, of course, this platform, Share the Mic. It's a way of taking steps to create meaningful dialogue between Blacks and whites and sharing the conversation on social media, having different guests, moderators each week. We're hoping to significantly expand our audience with people of color and people of no color to have open conversation about the issues we face as a country to eliminate racism.
I think you said a really good one as far as not just in your personal area, but also in your business. If you have access and the ability to create empowerment and equality in your work life, systemic racism doesn't just stop because you go to work. It's a part of every aspect of really kind of our lives. So understanding, what you can do in all areas of life is really important for sure.
So I get to ask you the next question too. Regarding racism, Ivory, what would you like white Christians that are taking sides in the evangelical or progressive church to hear and understand?
The first would be to listen and then act. For me, anytime I've had any type of conversations with fellow Christians that are white, the conversation is productive when they hear my story and hear the words I'm saying, and not just, this is what I think, this is what I believe, but when they actually can hear me and they actually can listen, and when I say, hey, this is real, this is important. And understanding that white supremacy and systemic racism are real. They are not fake. It's not fairy tales. It's not something that just went away with slavery, went away with the civil rights movement, or we had a Black president, so everything's fine now. It's not that our system is broken. It is working exactly how it was designed to work from the, start of our country. And that's important, because if you are a beneficiary of this system, then it's very hard for you to see that it actually exists, because you don't have any negative results from it, but as someone I'm Black, I understand how our system and our society's systemic racism has a negative impact on me and people that look like me. I went to a training from professors from Montevallo, one of them, Dr. Bentley, and she gave a wonderful analogy about systemic racism. And I'll pause there for a second. There's 2 types of racism. You have the systemic racism, which is the system. And I like to call it the root. It is the root. It is the thing where everything comes out of. And so when you get bigotry and hatred and people acting, those are the fruits. That's the individual action of racism. Wow. And so, we have, in order to, anybody that's done any type of growing, if you want to kill something, you got to go to the root. I don't care what you do to those branches, what you do to those leaves, you got to get to the root. And her analogy for systemic racism was smog. And a lot of people say, well, I didn't live back then. My parents didn't do that. My grandparents didn't do that. It doesn't matter if you or me or anyone is responsible for the smog being in our atmosphere. What we do know is the reality is that the smog is there, and we all are breathing in the smog. And, and that means that also we all have the responsibility to do the work to clean out our systems, to clean out the messaging and the information that this system gives to us and paints to us. Me as a Black woman, I didn't get my first Barbie doll that looked like me until I was almost done playing with Barbie dolls. That sends a message. That smog that I am taking in, whether I want to or not, and I have to do the work to clean that out. And so as Christians, sometimes because we love Jesus and we have wonderful hearts, we think that our intent and our hearts is enough. It's not enough. It's not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist. You have to do the work to cancel out and uproot a system that really goes against everything that Jesus has taught us. And that's hard because it doesn't feel like we've done anything wrong, and it's not about doing anything wrong. Whether we're racist or not, the system of racism will function successfully all on its own, even if we choose not to participate. So there's parts of it that we've got to get in there and clean it out.
Wow. Well said. Very well said.
All right. You ready for your next question?
I am.
Okay. So you are such an outspoken ally for anti-racism. Have you ever received backlash or undesirable responses for being outspoken about racism?
And really not in a significant way. And one of the reasons is maybe that I have a pretty strong voice that might sometimes be intimidating. So perhaps some people might not share their opinions as readily with me. I realize I could tone it down and be a better listener, but nah, not gonna do that. I've had many more conversations about racism lately, of course, whether on social media, in a group, or one-on-one, so I'm being even far bolder than I've ever been in my opinions. I feel like sometimes people lately look at me like I'm a radical and I'm too outspoken, but you know what? That to me is a good thing. So as long as I don't squash the conversation so that it can actually occur, I'm gonna continue to be bold.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Keep talking. Say it all. Say it all.
I'm going to ask you another question now, so I will keep talking. Ivory, how do you feel about white ministry in Black underprivileged areas? And is that a good thing, or does it prolong a racial divide?
And again, I hope my answers are not like super long, but like these things they can get complicated. And again, it's kind of similar with my last, like the intent, you could have just the greatest heart behind something and still be, that's not right. Like, that's not good. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think evangelical churches, white ministries, they need to check their motives as they act. And one thing I would say also is that, what leadership are you following? Are you talking to community leadership? Are you empowering those communities to lead in those efforts? Or are you just coming in to save the day? One thing white Christians have to be very careful of is to have this white savior mentality. And that is because racism is not just about hatred. Again, that's that fruit. That's the branches. The root is this idea of supremacy. And I'm better because I look like this, or I'm better, or my group is superior. And so even if you don't have hatred in your heart, it doesn't mean that you're not acting in a racist motivation. If you're looking at these communities and saying, oh, well, they just need my help, or let me just go in and just give some money and we're just going to fix this roof, or we're just going to assist in this area. If you're not looking at those individuals as equals, if you're not looking at those individuals as having the same capability that you could have if they had the same opportunities as you, then you really need to do some soul searching and kind of step back a little bit. Because if you're not there in your ministry to dismantle the results of white supremacy and systemic racism, all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on something that's just going to cycle over as soon as you leave. And then you're going to feel good when you go to bed that night and say, well, I did a great thing. But that's not the point. The point is we're trying to Yes, we're trying to uproot something. And so the idea is to empower those communities to be able to really get rid of those results and the impact of racism on those communities. Because a lot of the times, those communities that a lot of churches like to go into are the result of racist systems, white flight, and people yanking their kids out of schools, and people leaving homes, and taking their businesses away because Black people moved in. If you don't address that part, then that's going to be very difficult to really do real ministry in those areas. Again, if not, it's just going to be a band-aid. It's not really getting down to the root and creating effective change.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree with you more. Great.
All right, so my last question for you, what would you say, or do you have a message for people who refuse to acknowledge or believe systemic racism and how it exists in our country?
And I would say, if you put yourself in someone's Black shoes for a day or a week or a month, you'll know it's real. We all need to do that, white people. Whether it's middle class, upper class, poverty, anywhere in the spectrum of a Black person, it is experienced at all levels. And so I say, learn and experience what Black people experience in America almost every day. I read an excellent and really heartbreaking guest commentary this morning in the BBJ about Black executives by Martha Underwood. And I really need to call her and see if she'll just trade places with me for a week. In fact, I'm really going to try and do that with her, some other female Black executive in Birmingham. I don't know how, but I'm going to try. It just, what she said about her hair, and just feeling so uncomfortable not having straight hair, or her natural hair, and it just a lot of little things. And it just was, again, it just gave me chills, and it made me very, very sad, just for the business community and how they treat Black people. And again, I think if an executive could sit in her shoes or someone else's shoes, they would really learn a lot. Also, if you don't like to read, then watch a great movie, because I think movies help people relate to reality. And there's so many available right now, like Just Mercy is fabulous. When They See Us, another, just incredibly disturbing movie. And then tonight, actually at the Summit, we are doing a pop-up drive-in with Sidewalk Film Festival, showing John Lewis documentary, Good Trouble. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that with my family. Also, I just saw a great post and overview on systemic racism explained simply. It was very effective. A second grader would understand it. And I did share that post on Facebook. And in fact, I think every white school in our country should be showing it to second graders and third graders and all the way through college. And so, again, educate. As a white person, becoming better educated on systemic racism is so important. And that's my message. Get educated and make your own determination, because I'm sure that determination is going to be that it does exist and it needs to be eliminated. So that's my answer, final answer. And that's it for today, Ivory. It has really been a pleasure having you on Share the Mic.
Thank you.
And the message is share. Please forward this to others if you're watching this. And let's all work together to create awareness and keep the conversation. And I think you have a parting comment, Ivory, don't you take?
Yeah, I was just going to say that take the step. Like just go after it, take a step. It may be wrong, someone may not like it, but you got to start. And if you don't ever get off the bench, you really just can't ever get in the game. And so that's just kind of my kind of parting comments, is that it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but this is something, especially us Christian brothers and sisters, like this is a mandate. We have to care for each other. We have to bear the cross of all of our Christian brothers and sisters. And so this is not a Black issue or a white issue. This is our issue. It's ours together. So just get in the game, like do something. Gotta get out there. Oh, and Libby, two things. Make sure you share your picture in the comments, and so that we can see the picture.
Of the sign. And again, I actually have the signs made at Fast Signs downtown, and you can just go pick one up and pay for it. So we've got a system working. Our host next week on Share the Mic will be Dimitri Carpenter, who was our first guest. And he's agreed to be the alternate host. And I'm not sure yet who his white guest will be, but I can guarantee you it will be a great conversation. And there will be good action steps coming out of that. So tune in next week. Thank you, Ivory, again, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.